Hi, it's Savannah through Yoga TX, back here again to make some more videos for y'all. Just a little heads up, in June, I will be releasing a Summer of Yoga series. It's all about cultivating a daily practice and hopefully taking that daily practice off into your own. Anyways, today we will be working on a Sun Salutation breakdown. One of the most comments or concerns I get from my students is wrist pain, and they feel really stuck when I ask them to do a plank or a downward facing dog. So I figured I'd take some time to de-stress the wrists and then modify a Sun Salutation so that even if you have wrist injuries or tension, you can still practice. Anyways, we're gonna get started in a nice seated position, anything that's comfortable for you. Today I decided to kind of prop myself onto my heels. It helps my spine sit up a little bit straighter. From there, start to center yourself. Maybe you close your eyes, maybe you keep them open. Just start drawing yourself towards your breath. Bringing all parts of your being onto the mat, wherever your mind is, drawing it here. Just taking a couple seconds to empty out our mind. And then slowly allowing the eyes to flutter open again. We're going to start with some wrist stretches, and one of my favorite ones is creating more range of motion throughout our wrists. So how we do that is we clasp our hands and we start to roll it around. You might notice some snap, crackle, and pop. You might notice some areas of tension. Stay with the breath, observe, no judgments. Keep rolling. Once you get a couple rounds on that side, we're just gonna switch it around. So whichever way you were going prior, take it the other way. And begin to flatten out the fingertips. Press the top fingers together and just reach the elbows out to the side, stretching the fingertips, any tension in the hands. From there, you'll come back to palms together and actually bring the right hand on top of the left. From here, you'll just press into the hand. Whenever we're in yoga, we're so used to applying pressure to our wrists like this, so we're just reversing the motion. You might notice the fingers will twitch. Allow the body to adapt to the stretch. And slowly release the left hand. Take the left hand on top of the right and just press it down slightly. It doesn't have to be forceful, just enough to feel something. Allowing the fingers to twitch if they need to. And then releasing the hand. From here, we're just gonna make our way to all fours. So your wrists will be right underneath your shoulders and your knees will be underneath your hips. We're actually gonna take the hands and face the fingertips towards our knees. So you might notice right away that this is enough of a stretch for you. If that's your case, stay there and start to breathe into the arms, right? If you want a little bit more, you can always use the weight of your body and drive the hips back towards the heels. You'll notice that'll deepen the stretch. Stop wherever you need to and take a breath. Really think about rooting in between the index finger and that thumb. So that space in between there, really press it into the mat. Create the hand as flat as you can. And when you're ready, you can shift back forward. Now we're gonna face the fingertips out to the edges of the mat. Just gonna do a side to side motion, putting some pressure into the wrists and then releasing it. You can start to rock the body around, exploring its range of motion again. This is super helpful for anyone, especially who has carpal tunnel disease. We're just opening up the pathways from our arms to our hands. Start to find your midline again, your even position. And now we're gonna tent our palms into knuckles, right? You'll press your thumbs into the mat, bring the rest of the fingers into the palms. Begin to open the palms up, allow the hands to open at the same time. Drop the chin and chest towards the mat. And before you lift up, think about closing the hands both at the same time and pressing the thumbs into the mat. Right, so instead of one hand at a time, we're opening both at the same, dropping the chin and the chest. Just doing a quick wrist strengthener here. Close both hands at the same time as you lift up, press the thumbs into the mat. Taking that one more time. If you want a little challenge, maybe you tent up on your toes. Open the hands to plank. Close them back up. Drop the knees down. Extend the arms forward and release the elbows towards the mat. You can step the legs back. And we're just gonna explore a Sphinx pose right here. So you'll notice that the majority of the weight is in your forearms. This is really helpful if upward facing dog is not accessible, right? So a lot of times this puts way too much pressure in our wrists. So whenever you're in a class and you're not sure what to do, you can always drop down to your forearms, take a Sphinx pose. And go ahead and tuck the toes, shifting towards a dolphin pose, just a slight modification on a downward facing dog. It's actually a little bit harder, so you'll notice your arms have to engage a little bit more. Your heels have to root towards the ground a little bit more. It might help to spread the fingertips apart. Keep pressing into the forearms, open up the shoulders, lift the hips towards the ceiling. Take a deep breath. Notice when the body wants to stop breathing. See if you can intentionally guide the breath forward. Release the knees to the mat. We're gonna come up to a standing position at the top of our mat. I just wanted to introduce those poses to you before we flow through our modified Sun Salutation. First, inhale, reach both arms up. Catch the right fingertips around the left wrist. Begin to lengthen through the left arm. Take a deep inhale through the nose. And as you exhale, start to lean towards the right. You don't have to go to your full extent yet. Maybe you just lean a little bit, take a breath. And then lean a little bit more. Maybe sending that left hip out. With an inhale, come up to standing. Allow the left hand to wrap around the right wrist. First inhale, lengthen up. And as you exhale, lean a little bit. You don't have to go your full extent, just explore first. Take a breath here. As you exhale, fall towards the left just a little bit more, sending the right hip out. Inhale brings you back up to standing. Exhale bends the knees and draws the hands towards the mat for a forward fold. So while we're hanging out here for a second, I want to explain something. In English, we call this a forward fold, and in Sanskrit, we call this Uttanasana. And somewhere along the lines, our translation gets a little bit mixed up. Uttanasana actually means whatever faces the earth shall face the sun. So instead of just dumping your torso over into a forward fold, really think about lifting up through the hips, right? That's the action that takes place to lengthen the hamstrings. Release the head towards the mat. Maybe shake the head out, yes and no. Take a deep inhale through the nose. Exhale through the nose. As you inhale, straighten the legs. Draw the hands towards your shins for our halfway lift. The crown of the head will reach forward and the hips will reach back. See if you can draw the collarbones away from the ears. Deep inhale through the nose. As you exhale, bend the knees, plant the hands, and drop down to the forearms for a forearm plank. So this is also another variation that you can use in a yoga class if you attend them and you don't quite know what to do when the teacher says drop into Chaturanga Dandasana. This is always an option. If you notice your hips start to sink, think about drawing the belly button towards the lower back. Really pressing through the toes, staying strong through the fingertips. As you inhale, roll onto the tops of the feet, find your Sphinx pose. Press through the heart, lift through the head. Next breath, tucks the toes. As you exhale, lift the hips up and back for your dolphin pose. Maybe you take a step in to shorten your stance. Think about lifting the hips again, spreading the fingertips wide and pressing through the forearms. Notice when the mind starts to get a little chatty and the body starts to speak to you, draw it back towards the breath. Listen, but don't attach yourself to any one thought or sensation. With an inhale, look at the fingertips. As you exhale, walk the hands forward, or walk the feet forward, drop the knees. Lift the torso and come back up to standing. Arms rise up. And then come right back down towards your heart. So moving through that in a flow way, we'll start to move with our breath now that we know the poses. First, inhale, reach up. Attach the right fingertips around the left wrist. Lengthen first, and as you exhale, reach towards the right, sending the left hip out. Inhale, lift. Exhale, left hand around the right wrist. First, inhale, lift. And exhale, lean towards the left, sending the right hip out. Inhale, rises you up. Exhale, bends the knees, and you find your Uttanasana. Whatever shall face the earth shall face the sun. Inhale, halfway lift. Hands come towards your shin, crown of the head reaches forward. And as you exhale, plant the hands first, and then come down to the forearms for your plank. Stay here for a second. Find some strength in the core. As you inhale, come onto the tops of the feet. Press the heart forward, lift the head up. Exhale, tuck the toes, shift the hips up and back, dolphin pose. Take 2 breaths here. As you inhale, look to the fingertips. Walk the feet forward and then drop the knees. From here, you just come all the way back up to standing. Exhaling, hands at heart. Running through that one more time. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, lean to the left. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, lean to the right. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, bend the knees, unfold. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to the shin, crown of the head reaches forward. Exhale as you plant the hands first and then the forearms. Inhale, rolls you forward to Sphinx pose. Exhale, shifts you back to downward facing dog. Allow the chin to come towards the chest. Lengthen the back of the neck. Take 3 really big breaths here. It helps remind the nervous system that you're okay, even when the body starts to talk. Inhale, look at the fingertips. As you exhale, walk the feet forward, release the knees. Find your standing position. Rest the hands at your heart. Thank you so much for practicing. Hopefully you found a new way to practice your Sun Salutation and you don't feel limited anymore, right? So the yoga practice always forms to you. You don't ever have to form to the yoga practice. Thank you so much for practicing with me again. If you'd like to keep up with my personal practice, you can always follow me on Instagram. My username is Savannah. Thank you so much, yogis. See you next time. Just reaching our lower belly down to our thighs. As you inhale, reach the hands out. As you exhale, release the hands on the outsides of the legs. If you feel any strain, feel free to bend the knees as much as needed. And gently tuck the chin towards the chest.